Good morning. Hope everyone doing okay this morning? Awesome. We have a really exciting panel for you today. So I'll start with a little bit about myself. I am a broker owner of Sovereign Realty and Management, specializing in leasing and property management, as well as an associate broker with Keller Williams Realty, Peachtree Road. I have been a member of the Professional Development Committee here at the board for 3 years now. So we offer lots of exciting classes, and I urge you, as he said, if you have not joined a committee for this upcoming 2015 year, I urge you to do so. It is a fantastic opportunity to get to know some of your agents, as some other agents in the city, as well as it really aids you in your reputation with your clients, because they see that you're out there, you're really an advocate, and you're getting more knowledge. So, all right, social media panel today. We'll start out with some intros. Immediately to my left, we have Ben Neill. Ben Neill serves as Managing Partner and Director of Operations for Buy, Sell, Live Atlanta at RE/MAX Around Atlanta, a team founded and run by his wife, Maura Neill. Prior to joining the team, Ben ran day-to-day operations as operations manager for Ticket Alternative, one of Inc. magazine's 5,000 fastest-growing private companies, for 5 consecutive years. Prior to that, he managed operations, client relationships, and staff for Atlanta's Fox Theater, the #1 highest grossing venue of its size in the world. Ben brings operations and management experience to the Buy, Sell, Live Atlanta team. His insightful understandings of social media and digital marketing and strategy, as well as his knowledge of e-commerce and interest in emerging technology solutions, adds a new layer of expertise to the team. Most importantly, his extensive experience with client relations and customer service make Ben invaluable in the real estate world. Ben has driven their social media marketing to over 1,500 Facebook fans and 20,000 Twitter followers. Right next to him, we have Raenee Jemison. Renee's background: she has a Bachelor of Science in Marketing from Albany State University. She's a technology. She previously was a technology and social media consultant with Keller Williams Realty of Buckhead. She was an e-Edge ambassador for Keller Williams Realty of Buckhead, where she's dealt a lot with lead generation, getting agents set up on touches, and constant contact with their clients. Additionally, she was a productivity coach for 130 Metro Atlanta Realtors, and currently she is the owner of Atlanta's Phoenix Properties, a full-service real estate company, and has had 7 years as a successful salesperson for the industry leader in tire manufacturing. Okay, I was copy and pasting her LinkedIn. Next, we have Collin. Collin is an attorney with the law firm of Campbell and Brannon, and practices in the areas of residential real estate, estate planning, and in matters of probate. Collin also represents clients in the formation of corporations and LLCs. Collin received his undergraduate education at the University of Georgia, and then received his law degree from the Walter F. George School of Law at Mercer University. Collin lives in Sandy Springs with his beautiful wife, Molly. He is an expert in how to handle social media as a licensee here in Georgia, so we're super excited to hear what he has to say. And lastly, but not least, we have Sabrina Lowery. Sabrina was born and raised in Elizabeth, New Jersey. She graduated from North Miami Senior High School, where she was voted most likely to succeed by her high school classmates and graduated with honors in the top 10% of her class. Sabrina has an undergraduate degree in computers and information systems from the University of Florida. She is a geek for technology, always embracing current trends in technology for business, and calls herself a technology evangelist, whose mission is to empower others through technology and educate everyone on how to pursue greatness in every aspect of life. After graduating college, she relocated to Atlanta in 1996 and has called Smyrna Vinings her home for 18 years. She has over 20 years of professional IT experience in corporate America. After a rewarding 7-year career working as a senior computer programmer analyst for Carter's Children's Wear in Griffin, Georgia, Sabrina began her real estate business in 2003, and in 2006, she became an associate broker with Coldwell Banker Residential Brokerage. Sabrina's leadership and exceptional sales and marketing experience has consistently generated multi-million-dollar annual sales volume in her real estate business. Sabrina has transacted thousands of real estate closings, leases, and also provides residential and commercial property management services. Sabrina's mission is to leave a legacy for every family through home ownership and real estate investing. And she is the broker owner of Legacy Realty and Management. So, can we give a warm welcome to our panel? So for our format today, we're going to start with some questions that we have. I'm sure you all have burning questions, right? Everyone here has questions for the panel? Yes? Show of hands. Okay, well, as we get started, you'll have some questions. We're going to start out with some questions that we have already generated to get the conversation stirring in the room. But for a quick show of hands, who in this room has a Facebook business page? Okay, so a good percentage. Who in here has a personal page but does not have a business page? Okay, who in the room has a Twitter account? Who in here uses their Facebook page, whether personal or business page? Just trying to get an overview of the room for our panel. Who in here has uses their personal Facebook page or a business page or their Twitter account for their real estate business? Okay, and how many agents in the room are blogging? Okay, how many agents in the room have a personal website for their business? Okay, so a little less than half. Okay, all right. We're going to start right out the gate with the big thing that everybody wants to do is lead generate. How do I use social media to lead generate and get and capture new business? So the first question we'd like to ask the panel, and we'll actually ask this one to Sabrina, as an agent, how much has social media impacted your business?
Good morning, everyone. Social media for my brand at Legacy has been crucial because I was so well known by my former broker. And, you know, you try to tie your individuality instead of your brokerage sometimes when it comes to branding. I know we can all relate to that. Your customers know you, not necessarily your brand. And so for me, it became hashtag war. Okay, so the hashtag war was that I had to post everything with hashtag my name and my company so that people would start to recognize my company name and not just my name. Through a Google search, you know, my former brokerage would still come up, and it was driving me bananas because when I Googled myself, I wanted to be able to find my company, Legacy Realty and Management. So hashtagging is very important, and if anyone does not really understand the importance of hashtagging, it's basically creating you almost like an SEO. You're giving yourself definition to the Google and the web and search engine optimization. When people just search hashtags, they can still find you and whatever it is that you're posting about.
How many agents, thank you, Sabrina, how many agents in the room know what hashtagging is? Okay, would one of our panelists like to explain to the other agents in the room what exactly is a hashtag?
It's the number sign, literally the number sign. But what it does is it sends a signal to the web, and not to go into a whole lot of gory detail about it, but it recognizes the word as an individual brand with a hashtag in front of it. So if you want to do, like people do hashtag Throwback Thursdays at TBT. So if you want to go in and search for anything that has to do with TBT, that hashtag makes it so that it's recognizable out there in the world.
And Ben, from a practical application aspect, because you do the social media for your company, your real estate company, how has that impacted your business? You've obviously gained followers.
Just social media, again, following up with what she answered, what it's done for our company as a whole?
Yes.
So, you know, obviously in real estate, the goal is we're selling people something, we're selling them our services. It's a lot harder to sell to people who don't know you than to sell to people that do know you, at least at some level. Either they're familiar with the name, they're familiar with the brand, they're familiar with you. So for us, be it Facebook, be it Twitter, brand recognition has been a big goal and a big achievement over this past year. Just creating that brand recognition so that when it comes time for them to list or buy a home, they know your name, they've seen your picture, they've seen your content. You at least have more of a chance there than if they didn't know you at all. So brand recognition has been huge for us.
Thank you.
Can I add something?
Sure.
What's happened, I think, since the advent of social media in my business, it's allowed me to connect to more people in a short amount of time with a reduced amount of money. Our goal in real estate is to connect with people. If you have a goal to touch 10 people a day and you have the flu, let's add 10 people on LinkedIn today. Now we're connecting with them. We're building a relationship with them. They see what we do. They believe in us. And it has impacted my business. I guess about 35% of my business last year has come as a result of all my social media activity. So it's a huge opportunity.
35%. Thank you, Raenee. That is amazing. I mean, that's almost a third of her business, and we're talking about new business. So imagine a third increase in your businesses today. How have you seen an increase in lead generation, actual sales due to social media? Ben, can you answer that first for me?
Yeah, so right now we're tracking about 18 to 19% of new business coming from our Facebook efforts alone.
Wow.
So yes, I mean, and I think to tie up that with any of these efforts that you're trying, if you're not tracking it, you know, it's a waste of time, it's a waste of money. So be sure to track it. But to answer your question, yes.
And thank you. Any other panelists?
And for me, I use my Facebook business page, the analytics there, they're superb. If you have your Facebook business page and inside of the Facebook, it'll say your page, your activity, and your insights. Everybody use the insights. That's the tracking measures that we're talking about when we're talking about these percentages. And for my brand, it has been amazing because more referrals has come as a result of my social media posting on my Facebook business page and my Instagram when I post the photo of the house and people actually begin dialoguing with me in the comments section like, I'm interested in coming to Atlanta, connect with me. And this is a random person as if they were going to www.legacyrealtyandmanagement.com. So I think it's actually easier through things like Instagram and Twitter, and Ben can attest to that, when you're putting those pictures and really nice descriptive information in there so that people understand and see it's not just a picture of a house. It's a call to action, because I put calls to action when I post. For example, available now, home for lease, call today. And that call to action actually drives those leads to make contact. It's an invitation. It's not just a random post. I want people to dialogue back with me, and I communicate back with them. Yes, ma'am. So I'll give you a perfect example, and everybody, my brand is Sabrina Lowery. That's my name on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. So you all can connect with me to see what some of my posts are. So on the post that I just mentioned, available now, I would just put available now. Then I would hashtag the word home, and then I would space hashtag for lease. And then I would give the property description. If it's a popular community, or even if it's not, I would hashtag the subdivision name. If it's in a specific community, Inman Park, Atlanta, Vinings, I hashtag the area, and so on and so forth. So you can literally hashtag yourself crazy within one description. But my best business practice is that you don't use more than 5. because then it's overwhelming. You know, some people think it's cute. They just hashtag every single word, like mommy of the year and you know, and they're going on, and it's ridiculous, right? But if you're being very specific and strategic, be strategic about it. You're trying to drive a keyword search. Does that help?
And so while we're making these postings, posting listings, hashtagging, Collin, what are the red flags for you from a legal aspect? Because as realtors and agents, we abide by a specific code of ethics as well as laws. And one of the biggest things is making sure, if you are a part of a major brokerage, is making sure that your brokerage is as prominent as your company name or your name on all marketing material, as well as you have to disclose your license status. So there are no laws surrounding social media specifically yet. However, there are advertising laws. And with that, Collin, what are some of the red flags and the areas that we need to pay attention to?
Yes, like she mentioned, the law surrounding social media is still developing. There's plenty of different aspects of law that apply to different aspects of social media, but you run into copyright infringement, you run into trademark infringement, you run into disclosing private information improperly. All those kind of aspects feed into social media. When in what you're talking about with disclosing your broker, your license status, your name, it can prove to be difficult short of your Facebook page where you've got that banner, or your personal website, like with Twitter or Instagram. How are you going to do that? That's a question. And there's no hard and fast rule that says you're violating a law or you're violating the ethics if you don't put your brokerage hashtag on there. But one of the general rules you can kind of try to remember is whatever applied before social media to your advertising, to your signage, basically applies now. You just got to get a little more creative with how you do it. For example, we were talking about Twitter earlier. Every Twitter account has a picture, it has a description, and then you have what you post. So how can you display your brokerage on every tweet? Well, you can put your brokerage logo on your profile picture along with your photo. You can have it in your profile description. You can use your hashtags. Those are all ways that you can still display your brokerage as well as promote yourself. And back to Twitter again, you've got those 140 characters that you have a very, what is it? It's called microblogging, I think is what, but you can post links, they're this big, back to your website. And that's a way that, I'm posting this. It's a press release, basically. New house in Inman Park for lease. Well, click here and see more. That way, you're using Twitter to the best of your ability, but you're also not violating any ethics or licensure laws, and you're linking back as long as your Facebook page or your website is properly set up. As far as the practical application with your ethics, Articles 12 and 15 are the big ones. Tell the truth, and don't disclose any reckless or incorrect information. Whenever you're doing that, just make sure think about everything you post. It's easy. You pull your phone out, you post something, you're gone. Think about it, because, like I said, while the law isn't hard and fast right now, there's still laws that apply to everything. And I mean, there's dozens of them. So, I'm kind of the Debbie Downer of the panel, I guess. Most of what I do is tell people what not to do. Try. Yeah. There you go.
Which is important, right? Thank you, Collin. So with posting listings and generating leads on social media, what percentage of your posts are related to certain topics? I know as agents, we're always like, what do we post? What do we post? What are topics to post? Do we just post listings? Do we just post quotes, motivational quotes? So what percentage of your posts are related to certain topics? For example, personal, like how much personal information do you disclose on social media? Advertising for your company, whether it's just a phone number and a logo, or listings, and this is available, or what about I just sold this, sold listing? Thank you, Ben.
Sure. So a couple things with that question. So one, we believe in social media activity both personally and for the company. Our strategies are separate with that. With the company, people these days, younger people especially, they don't want to be sold to. I mean, they're very aware when they're being sold to, and they don't like it. It's a turnoff. So we strategically make sure that, I can't tell you if it's 10% or is it 15%. It varies week to week. Make sure that we're selling much less than we are providing them with content that we think interests them. Whether it's community-specific content, whether it's our weekend post of things to do around Atlanta, whether it's a pretty picture. It's not salesy. Now, we have a strategy behind it, and of course, I view it more as kind of a soft sell. Again, brand recognition. Again, if this post piqued their interest and they were interested in it and it took them to my website, the next time I post something that is a new listing or that is more clearly sales related, they're likely to see it and pay attention to it. But definitely we make sure that 75% or hopefully more is not easily decipherable as being salesy.
I accidentally ended up with a plan similar to yours. Building the relationship with your friends, your family, and their friends is what it's about. And the balance comes from just identifying with who you are and your brand, and it's different for everyone. Of course, I agree with a nominal amount of just real estate information, because people want to see you at the football game. They want to see you with your grandkids. People do business with people they like, and they think they like you when they connect with you on a social level. And it really is that simple, and we have an obligation to connect with people. And social media provides that platform. I post about houses. In my opinion, I am real estate. I also happen to do a whole bunch of other things that I share with the world. So it's not always necessary to be just out front and bold about it. Like, here's a house, here's this $1 million listing. The 2,000 people who are my friends on Google Plus, they know I sell real estate. It's not necessary. It's in my profile. So just use it as balance. If it's something you're excited about, share it. It's also extremely important to offer items of value. My last posting was just an updated mortgage status about now may be your time to buy, this many years out of foreclosure. Offer people something, and they will do business with you in return, I think.
Thank you so much. You want to say? Thank you, Sabrina. Yep.
Okay, so I am a very, very active roller skater, and I like to post pictures of me in my skates with my skate family. And those that know me outside of business know that I am a skater. I have been on television roller skating with Ricky Smiley. It's serious, right? So I love that, and I'm proud of that, and I've been skating since I was 5 years old, and so I get real roller derby queen with it, And so one of my posts one day, I actually had on one of my skate outfits, and one of my friends that did not know me quite so intimately in my skate life posted, "Are you like trying to roller derby or something?" And then I got a ton of comments behind it. But I absolutely thought that was fantastic because it engaged people. Okay, so think about that from your followers. Not everyone that's my friend on Facebook is my friend, if that makes sense, right? So some of those posts, they are strategic, like Ben said, right? It's so that I can still appeal to my skate friends when I've got my little derby shorts on, okay? But they know that outside of that skating rink, I'm all about my business. Is that fair? Everybody understand that? And then I also send them to my business page because I'm like, hey, if you don't like me posting all the time about my real estate stuff, then you just need to like my business page because I will be posting some skate pictures.
Thank you so much, Sabrina. I had a question from the audience.
You suggested. I've got different articles. Sometimes I share art articles. I don't just share real estate articles. In other words, some few things that are personal, sometimes listings, et cetera, et cetera. But but it's limited to how many people I'm friends with. So my question is, how are you generating so much of your business? I was in real estate where I previously lived for 3 years, and I've only lived in Atlanta 2 years. I don't know that many people. I'm really having a hard time getting new business. I've had, some sales last year, but obviously I'm way off the charts. I should be doing a lot better. So, but it is such a referral-based business, and I don't know that many people. So I'm here today to find out, how am I going to draw more of these people in? Because a lot of my Facebook people are all over the country and the world even, and they're not here. So how am I getting this new I'm posting the right stuff. On the business page, I'm probably posting 3 different things a week, but I'm not getting business from it.
Thank you.
I can answer that. Add a call to action to your post. Okay, I challenge everyone to write this down. There's a post that I learned from Michael J. Mayer. If those of you who have not done Gen Mastermind, Gen stands for Generosity Generation. He taught us a short little Facebook/Twitter/Instagram post that says, I am looking for 10 referrals and I will give 20 referrals. Who do you know that needs to move? Is that about right, Keith? That about sums it up. Okay, so Keith is one of my Gen partners who got me started on this road with Michael Mayer. And how simple is that, right? Today I'm looking for 10 referrals and I am giving 20 referrals. Who do you know that needs to move? Or you can be more specific that says, have them call me today. Add the call to action to that post. Okay? And it works. I'm telling you, it works. When we start Gen, he has us post that at the beginning of the segment, and by the end of that hour and a half, 5-10 people have commented behind that post on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.
It's the ask, right? You've got to ask.
I just want to comment on the comments. Nobody reads terms of use on anything, I know, but all the social media websites have disclaimers that website, Facebook, is not responsible for what people post on there. Okay. But if people post things on your page, you're not necessarily legally responsible for that. But you are, by the standards of practice, responsible for what's appearing on your page. Okay? And I only say this just to you guys need to monitor what's being posted. If you're going to do personal and business, we all have jackass friends, pardon my language, and people that just their stupidity just is magnified on Facebook, and they post things. Monitor that, because if it's on your page, it may be somebody else said it, but somebody may read that and say, why are they associated with someone that would say something like that? Okay, and it's even better, like if you have your own website, you set up your own terms of use. Once again, nobody's going to read it, but it is going to say you want to add, I have the ability to delete anything on here. Okay, you can flag things on Facebook, you can get it removed, but just monitor those things. You're asking for comments, people are commenting, and you're busy, but do your best to monitor what people are posting on there, because somebody posts something inappropriate or defamatory, and it's up there for an hour. Who knows how many people are seeing it? And while you didn't say it, and it has nothing to do with you, that's it's glued to you. So just and that can raise fair housing issues. I mean, there's all kind of problems that can be. And you want comments, you want activity on your page, but you also, if you're going to generate those kind of things, you need to be vigilant about monitoring what's going to be on there as well.
Absolutely, Collin. Thank you. How many people have been tagged in a picture that they did not want to be tagged in? And then you're like, remove. So thank you so much for that information. Along with, did you have another question pertaining to that? You have a question pertaining to that? Sure.
A specific house or observation about a house or something, what happens to that exactly?
His question is, when you hashtag about a house, what happens to the post?
Well, I mean, with the hashtag, as they were describing, it's searchable by the hashtags that you put into the post. So basically, you're indexing that content for things that you want people to be able to find that content for, whether it's a neighborhood, whether it's your company name or your name. But what happens to, I mean, is that the
So the reverse, let me help you understand. So what the hashtag does once you place it is there are people in the world who are on Instagram who are thinking about Atlanta. If you've hashtag Atlanta / hashtag real estate and somebody searches Instagram or Twitter for Atlanta and your post has that hashtag in it, now you're in their face because of that action. Does that help? So on the other side, there are people who are looking for those words that you put out there. That's right. So Delta,
Search
for
tool.
example, hires people in their social media department to monitor hashtag Delta because people are offensive. I had a bad flight. And they go on, and so now you intervene customer service wise because Mr. Smith is mad. He hashtagged Delta SUC, and let's call him. Let's offer him a free flight. So once you hashtag a Raenee, for example, because that's who I am, now you're able to see what the world sees about that word.
So when you hashtag, you think of a search category. If you would catalog what you want to do, it's a search tool. From my understanding, it's a search tool.
It's not just Twitter anymore with hashtag people. It's everything. Facebook is hashtagable. Google hashtags. Google Plus, of course. So hashtag is just the way of the world now. It makes your brand. It's the tool that people use to search the world.
The next time you go on your Twitter or your Facebook, hashtag your name at the end of the post. And then just search Facebook, hashtag your name, and watch what comes up. Just put the number sign, and what is your name, sir? What is your name? Hashtag Lou Whelan in the end of your post. So I'll tell everyone, when I came into the board this morning, I signed into Foursquare. Anybody use Foursquare? Okay, so Foursquare is like a location, and you can just kind of check in and out of different places that you go around the community and the city and when you're traveling. So at the end of my Foursquare post, I hashtag Sabrina Lowery, Realtor, Legacy Realty and Management, because I'm always branding me and my company. So people that are following me, they're international, Lou. So if they just want to see what's Sabrina up to today, they can search my name. They can search my company. They know I'm a realtor, and so on and so forth. Does that make sense?
Thank you, Sabrina. On the previous, I want to move on to another question. On the previous question that we asked, I heard a lot about social media strategies. So a lot of it has to do with time management. correct? And where do you find the time to post all these posts? Sometimes you're on Facebook and Twitter and you're just like, these people post round the clock. And it's like, where do they come up with all this content? Can you tell us a little bit about what tools you use to plan your time? Ben? All right.
So as a small team, and I'm sure many of you, either you're on your own or you run a small team, you're always juggling too many things for too little time. So social media can definitely be a time suck. You can waste a lot of time very quickly. You can get distracted. So again, it comes back to strategy. It comes down to having a plan. There are a lot of tools out there that you can use to schedule posts. I know the question later is going to be your favorite tool, so I won't reveal that.
You know it.
I go back and forth. I actually have a pretty good balance of some spontaneity as well as scheduled things. I take some time every Monday morning, and with Twitter especially, we'll go and post, schedule maybe 2 posts a day, knowing that if I don't have time to be spontaneous throughout the rest of the week each day, there's going to be content that's going to be automatically posted. Facebook will allow you to schedule posts within itself. You don't need an external tool. So I will normally not schedule stuff. I'm more kind of post it at the time that I want it on Facebook. But definitely, I say set aside some time when you're going to spend, whether it's 30 minutes or an hour. Schedule some stuff on the platforms that you want to be active on. That way you can be sure that if the rest of the week goes a direction that you hadn't intended, you've already got some content, there for your audience.
Thank you.
Well, I got to tell you, I use pretty much every platform out there but Craigslist, for many reasons. But I wanted to add on, I had a conversation with someone earlier about how do you find time? How do you make it happen? And I know that both Sabrina and I have a deeper understanding of the technology side so that we're able to leverage some tools that I think we're going to talk about at some point to ease up that posting obligation to share across multiple platforms. I don't mean Hootsuite, but we'll talk about that in a bit. But number one is mindset. And when you guys come in the room today, first of all, we've got to separate ourselves mentally from business owners. If you approach the rest of this seminar as a business owner and remove yourself and your personal feelings about what people may think or how I feel about Facebook, you will too see increases in your business as a result of your activities. So for me, when I wake up in the morning and I'm aware that last year 30% of my business is a result of social media, it's not how do I make time? How do I make time for anything else is the question. Because if I am going to keep doing this and expect that 30% or to grow that, then this is what I must do before I brush my teeth, in my humble opinion. So it's not how do you make time, it's understanding that you must.
And I'm going to speak to something non-legal, so you guys brace yourself here, okay? My wife owns a jewelry design company, okay? And it's just her. And her business has exploded because of social media. I mean, I would say 50% of her orders are social media, if not more. But what I've learned from watching her there are actual, and I'm sure you guys can probably speak to this better than I can because I don't really know, but there are actual times that are better to post than other times. So it may appear like this person is always every time you get on your Instagram account or your Facebook account, you see something from them. It doesn't mean that they're constantly posting. It means they're posting at the peak hours when people are on the social media. And so she's read about it, she's figured out, so she won't post all day until, 4 4 o'clock or whenever the high point is, 2 o'clock, and then she'll post. So people always see her posts. And it appears like she's posting all the time, but she's really maybe posting once a day, twice a day, but it's the right time. And she's a very good user of these hashtags, these search terms. And I mean, I look at her phone at night and she'll have 16 new followers on Instagram. It's just boom, 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 because she does it at the right time when people are looking and she uses the right hashtags. So, that's my 2 cents on that.
Thank you, Collin. And so if everybody in the panel can give one thing that they would say in terms of planning, which is key and important, or to even start a plan, because how many people in here have a social media marketing plan, strategy? One, because I don't have one either. So if you can give one thing to all these agents in this room about, or 2, if you have 2, or maybe 3, but just real quick about what they can do to start making one. Where to begin? If I want to make a social media strategy, where can I begin? What are the 3 things that I need to have? Sabrina first. Thank you.
Okay, so the first thing is, are y'all ready for this? A written technology business plan. Seriously. Okay, how many of you have a written business plan? Okay, so that's half of us. So those that don't, when you create for 2015 your business plan, half of that should be technology focused, which incorporates the social media planning. And what does that mean? 1, there is no budget for social media marketing, y'all. So that should be at the number 1 position, okay? All it is the timing and how often, what content you're using. Okay? Those are my 3.
Thank you, Sabrina. Next.
I would say identify your brand first. You've got to have your brand. What are you going to talk about? Are you going to just be the arts and crafts person because that's who you are, and you're going to make sure everyone knows all the local fairs? If that's who you are, then be on purpose about that and be true to you and your brand. You're absolutely perfect the way you are. Just market it, is what I say. The second thing I would say is you've got to decide which platforms you're going to utilize. Is it Foursquare? Is it Swarm? Is it Google Plus? Is it LinkedIn? Is it Twitter? Is it Facebook? You can't take it all in at the same time. So the second thing is to narrow down your platforms and use metrics as the basis for that. And what I mean by that is look at where your major impact will be. So don't just pick Twitter because you know that you're not going to end up being able to track all your metrics about how many views, how many people are looking at your post. That's imperative. And so you've got to understand the metrics matter. Otherwise, we wouldn't be up here. We know what we're doing. We're very on purpose about it. All of us. And part of course, is that plan. And the third, I'm going to echo what Sabrina said and what Ben has always said, is we have a plan. It can be a 1-page paper. I will post to Facebook on Tuesdays between 1 and 3. I will get the information by searching Google about the law. Just be on purpose and do it and grow.
Do it. I love it. Just do it. Ben?
Yeah, not much I think I can add that hasn't already been said, but I think to me what brings it home is make it a priority. I mean, if like you said, if you've heard from us and heard how much business it could potentially bring to you, it should be a priority. Set some goals. Maybe you say, hey, I'm going to make it a priority for X amount of time every day for 60 days. And then, because I've set in place the metrics to measure your efforts, reevaluate. If that's working, great. If it's not, tweak it. Also, like was said, you can't be active on every social platform. You just can't. If you try, you'll fail. So decide which ones you think best align with your interests. For some people, Instagram. Do we have an Instagram account? Yeah. Maybe I have 30 followers. It's not something that that I align with as much, but some people have great success in it. Great. Pinterest is another one. Some people spend a lot of time and have a lot of good activity and have nurtured some relationships through Pinterest. Great. We have Pinterest, but we don't spend as much time on that as we do on Facebook and Twitter. So make some decisions. Measuring is probably the most important thing, and also just be consistent. If you say to yourself you're going to spend an hour a day, do it. Make it a priority, and set yourself up, for success.
Thank you, Ben. Collin?
Do you actually want my opinion on this?
If you have one. If not, we can move on to the next question.
The only thing I was going to say is always ask yourself, what's going to make me look at somebody else's post? Make it relevant. And that's what we do with our law firm now. And people aren't looking at law firm social media for much fun content, but they do look for it for relevant and helpful content. And we try to make it as timely as we can when we post things. So just, in addition to the other things, post timely and relevant content that people actually want to read. If they think you're smart, they're going to want to talk to you.
His question is, how and why do people search on Twitter?
Who cares? Seriously, but they do. I could explain it to you, but they do, and it makes a difference, and you should do it if you want to grow. Serious. So people, it's social behavior. I'm a marketing major, and consumer behavior, I think, was one of my favorite classes because it's the psychology of sales and why people do stuff and what motivates them. So when I'm looking at social media, I treat it just like my understanding of people. We're in the people business. People like you, Mr. Whelan. I bet you're great fun at parties. And I bet that if you shared your excitement about life and what you've got going on, that you're going to connect your friends to their friends. And you may only know one person, but that person who liked your comment has 8,000 friends. And they shared your flyer. And it didn't cost you $50 to make it. But now it's touched 8,000 people. It's the metrics. It's the numbers. It's the touches. In marketing, it's about repetition. How many times do you need to see an ad before you buy the burger? Now I get to do this a lot because of social media. It's like a gift, especially for anybody in sales. And I got to interject here. I'm also on the board of Nicholas House. That's my nonprofit that I do. And last night at our meeting, we were talking about the exact same things that I'm sitting here speaking to a group of realtors about. It's about 30% of our donations coming from online and social media. It's about how do we reach out to our donors to help them understand our purpose and our mission so that they will give to help Nicholas House. It's the exact same thing. It's about the people. And we're here to understand where the people are and how we can connect with them and get them to the closing table.
Thank you, Raenee.
Amen.
Another question from the audience.
Collin, this question is for you. I see excellent content online and I freeze because I don't know the proper way to distribute it. Am I breaking copyright by copying it and putting it out there? So can you address how we should properly, when we see good content, maybe from your site or someone else's, and we want to share that?
Absolutely. If you post it and make it look like it's your own, you violated copyright law. Okay? But if you post something and you give credit where credit's due, you're fine. If you find a great photo, you need to find out who the photographer was. Photo credit to John Doe. If you find a great article, make sure that the author is shown on the article or in your post who wrote it. Who is this person? That way you're just sharing. You're gonna get in trouble with copyright if you steal it. If you try to make people think it's your own, and even if that's not your mentality, if it appears like it's your own, then you're violating the copyright infringement. as long as you give credit where credit's due. Yeah, I mean, if it's an obvious thing, you know, but if you find some blurb and you post it and there's really no author shown on the actual physical post, then you say, article written by Collin Gravitt, you know, that kind of thing, and that way the person's getting the proper.
Just quickly to that, it's not what you asked, but it's made me think of it. With that, I mean, my immediate question would be, you know, what's the point? I know the question was asked, how many people actively blog, and there were only a couple of hands. So I don't know if we're even going to get to that. But with the strategy, I would come back to what's the point? What's the point of you sharing the New York Times real estate article that you found interesting on your Facebook page? What's the point? I mean, isn't it more important to share some of your own content that will lead someone back to your site? So think about that. Yeah, it's good to know what you can do, what you can't do, but think about why you're posting something, you know.
Good point. Very good point. Another question from the audience?
Yeah, my question was, I tweet a lot, and I have a lot of Twitter followers, and lots of times I subscribe to New York Times. So I get all the real estate, mortgage, banking, all that stuff comes to me. So when I tweet and it's a New York Times article and I hit the retweet button on New York Times and it automatically has @NY Times, most of the time I get rid of the @NY Times because I'm hashtagging Atlanta real estate. Since they're going to click on that article and it'll automatically go to New York Times, would I get in trouble because I deleted the @New York Times?
I wouldn't think so. That's one of those gray areas about, the social media world. But as long as that article is linking back to the New York Times and not linking to your website, then I think you're okay doing it.
And I think that's brilliant that you remove it, actually, because otherwise you're advertising New York Times every time you tweet. I mean, exactly. It's like taking, the dealer's sign off the back of your car. You're riding around with, their thing. Same thing.
Yes, I have one question. All the people that we meet, or new leads, or whatever, when networking, we will add them all to our Facebook. Do we have to ask them first?
So the platform is set up as a request. There's nothing to talk about. They'll either unfriend you or not. Well, and this is what I do. And best practice for me is that when I meet new people, the first thing I do is go online and try and connect with them. Otherwise, I may never see them again. And I really like you, so I'm going to find you on LinkedIn, and I'm going to find you on Facebook, and then I'm going to message you and say how great it was. Remember, it's just a forward thinking from the exact same thing we used to do. We used to meet people, get a business card right on the back where we met them, and then we would follow up with them. But now social media is the way we stay connected with people. So you take an interest in people by trying to find them where they are. And even though, I spoke briefly about identifying your two main sources, you have to be everywhere. I think Ben agrees. Like, I've got Pinterest, and we have all of that because your obligation is to be where people are, not where you want them to be. It's about them. So if you've got one client who is only on LinkedIn, you connect with him on LinkedIn, right? But you've got to be on Twitter.
That's a really good question, though, what she's asking, and that's the separation between personal and business. So there's a lot of people that we know have personal Facebook pages, and they may meet someone, and then that person goes and sends them a friend request that same day on Facebook. So some people are bothered by that. And they're like, well, I don't really know you, so I don't want you to know my family. So how do you friend every person that you meet? Because some people say, I will friend them all on LinkedIn, but I'm not friending everybody on Facebook. So how do you make the distinction? Do you friend everybody, or how private is your Facebook? Because Facebook seems to be the most personal one for everybody. They have family pictures, they're at games, they may have beers and drinks, and they may feel a certain way about that. So how do you separate personal and private? Do you make your personal page very public, or are you separating the two? What has worked?
Okay, so again, on my personal Facebook, I do not friend everyone. I direct them to the business page if I connected with them in a business setting. Okay, I will connect with everyone on LinkedIn because that is my online Yellow Pages directory, y'all. Okay, internationally. I've got clients in Australia, and I'm growing my Australian investors database because of that sort of thing, right? So yes, I accept everyone on the LinkedIn side, but on my personal Facebook, not so much.
Thank you. And I know the opposite. Ben is actually the opposite of that. So I would like to hear your perspective.
Well, not really. No, I mean, we are fortunate enough to really only work with clients that I'd love to have over to the house for dinner or sit down and have coffee with. So a lot of our clients do become friends. However, you know, we do split. I mean, you can even look at Maura's Facebook page. Personally, on her Facebook page, there is very little business talked about. Very little. People know she's a realtor because they know who she is. We keep the business page more for business, the personal page more for nurturing those relationships with people. We don't, you know, what I want to say is it's personal preference. I mean, if you're someone that is just an open book and you don't care, great. Some people are more private. They like to keep their private life kind of separate. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I do, but to go, you know, with what was already said, I think there are tools like LinkedIn where it's more geared towards business, and you can connect with people. They can, you know, get all your information about your business. But I do think that's one of those. It's kind of personal preference.
About to say, you got to be willing to live out loud to some degree, and for me, I am totally open. My Facebook page is open. You ask me to be your friend, go ahead, ask me, Raenee on Facebook, ask me today. I will accept you, I promise. But the minute I see something that I don't like, because I'm engaged with my Facebook, it's part of me, I'll know today if I accept your friend request and you say something crazy tomorrow, you won't be my friend tomorrow. It's real simple for me. So I say yes to everything and then figure out how I back out. You know, it's just my attitude about life, and it becomes my attitude toward social media as well. LinkedIn, yeah, I have everybody on LinkedIn, and I'm sure we're going to go into some of the specifics on each one of those in a little while. But yeah, let them all in, then kick them out.
I was going to ask, and I think you kind of touched on it, if there's a need necessarily for a business page, and maybe that's more of a personal preference. I was at a social media class, and the instructor said, you know, treat social media as though you're at a dinner party. You know, you wouldn't speak about certain things on social media if you only have one page. Then you wouldn't speak about certain things at a dinner party, you know, amongst people that you don't know, that you may, you know, amongst people that you do know. So what are your feelings about that? Do you really need a business page?
From a legal standpoint, no. But if you're going to post business-related posts, you need to make sure your broker information is on your posts. The reason a lot of people set up the business page is, you know, their banner is a big, you know, Sovereign Realty, you know, something like that. If you're going to keep it personal and you're going to post things, you need to make sure your broker information is on every one of those posts to avoid getting in trouble with any licensure law. And one thing, and this is one of the main things I just wanted to speak about, so I'm going to take this time to do it right now. MLSs, they're protected, right? So you post pictures, and it may be a vacant house. So you're posting pictures of a vacant house at this address. If there's a criminal on MLS, well, there's a criminal on MLS. If you post those same pictures on your social media, there's no protection. Anybody can see those pictures. And you need to be careful with that. You don't want to post that your client's house is vacant to the world. Okay? That's one of the biggest things that people are getting in trouble with on social media is they're posting things, you know, motivated seller, vacant home, move-in ready, you know, whatever that is there. And it's posting to the world that this is a vacant house. So criminals, if you want to, you know, use a crack den for a couple of weeks, then you go ahead. You know, not saying that you're friends with any crackheads or anything, but you know, when you post on the open media kind of things versus your MLSs, you just need to be careful what you're posting and whether that's on your, because I mean that's e-discovery is a new thing. And if there's been a crime committed, they'll go back and say, well, how did this criminal find out about this? And for yourself, protect yourself. You post a vacant house on Facebook and you get a message, hey, I'd like to come look at this house. Be careful with that. Somebody might say that's a perfect killing ground. Whatever. Just that's one of the biggest things with social media and you guys, what you post. Just be careful what's out there. Versus, don't take the same photos you had on MLS and put them on Facebook.
That is super good information. At all times, we got to protect ourselves, right? We're always out meeting people, letting people in houses, and most of the times we're by ourselves. So, really good information because oftentimes we don't even think about that aspect of it. So, who's seeing those posts? Real quick, I want to move on. 1 second. Question. We talked about. We mentioned different applications to use, and we talked about Pinterest and Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn, and it's just so many, right? What is your one favorite application that you use to generate new business? Well, we can do both, one for business and one for a favorite application.
I think it's hard because there are many applications and different reasons that I like it, but I got to tell you, Google Plus, which it leads Facebook as far as social media. How many people in here on Google Plus? Okay, so Google Plus is an international version of Facebook of sorts. So you connect with Facebook with your friends and their friends and the friends of their friends. Well, now on Google Plus, I'm connecting with people, worldwide. I have Greek friends. I think you were talking about Australian. You have opportunities not just to grow your business on Google Plus, but to grow yourself as well, because it's just such a diverse platform. And because I am a Google stalker, a stalker of all things Google, then Google Plus works with my entire Google platform and the application Friends Plus Me. Write this down. I want to share it with you, and this is the main reason, one of the two reasons I love it. Friends Plus Me allows me to post to all platforms by going through one. So if I post on Google Plus, it allows me to use hashtags to control what posts where. So if I'm posting homestead information for the upcoming year and I want that to go on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Google Plus, it goes to Tumblr, it goes to my blog, it's one keystroke through Google Plus and it sends it everywhere. You'll thank me later. Friends Plus Me. Google it. And so Google Plus is great. And then back to metrics matter, which is my phrase, because people talk all the time. But until you see the numbers and the return on your investment on anything, then it doesn't really matter. It's just people moving around. So Google Plus allows you to actually see how many people have looked at your profile, how many people looked at that posting of that house, how many people viewed you and your dog under the tree at Piedmont Park. You can track and see what people like. One of my favorite things is I like to post when I get really excited about something. I include a baby in it. I sold tires for 8 years, so I worked for Michelin. And I said, well, if babies can sell tires, well, certainly they can sell houses, and everybody loves babies. And to truly see how much people love babies, I would do the same post. I put a baby in one, track the metrics, how many people are looking at it. I mean, that is why Google works so well in Google Plus, because of the metrics and the ability to post cross-platform.
I love that. Only using props. You're changing your advertisements and what goes in them. It's not baby's not a prop, but changing your advertisements. That's a really good different strategy that we've heard up here just now. So next.
Okay, so for me, Instagram has been my most organically grown social media. I've been on Facebook since Facebook began. I used to be a beta tester for Yahoo Messenger before messaging became what it is today, you guys. So I find that the organic reach is amazing because with Instagram, the photo, it's the visual things, you guys. It's not just the words and the fact that you don't have the limit of the characters like you do the Twitter. And thirdly, because it will cross the platforms, meaning you can post to Facebook and Twitter right from that second that you post to Instagram. So you've just covered 3 platforms right in one. Oh yes, and yeah, it's way more than those. So yes, absolutely, it's about 6 of them. Actually.
And I got to chime in. Of course, my second was going to be Instagram because it is cross-platform, and because, to recap what Sabrina said, a picture is worth 1,000 words. If you can post a picture, there's just so much you don't have to say, and people like to look at pretty things and pictures of pretty things, and it's just amazing.
I don't like to be limited by the characters that Twitter does, so I don't use it as much with just a simple post to Twitter. I let my cross-platform postings do that, and then it'll cut, it'll shrink the text or what have you. But I really like to be able to put my website link and hashtag my brokerage name and hashtag my name, and by the time I've done all that, I'm over 200 characters. You know what I mean? So with that call to action and asking for referrals, and how many people follow like the Zig Ziglars and John Maxwell's and love their quotes of the day kind of thing. Okay, so imagine just posting the picture, but then retyping the words of the quote that was within that thought of the day. That's the way I use it, because I want then the words, and then I can hashtag, like one of them, it had something to do with smile. And so I just said, hashtag smile anyway. And the whole quote was several sentences long, but I just wanted to focus on the word smile.
And for you, Ben, favorite application?
Yeah, I mean, it's simple. It's Facebook. It's the number one. There's more people there than anywhere else. We haven't gotten into, nor maybe we won't today, I don't know, about, advertising with Facebook, but you can hone in on your exact demographic. They want your money, so they give you all the tools to try to justify why you should spend money with them. But you can go after, with such great specificity, the target audience that you want. So it's been huge for us, the branding opportunity, just being able to get in front of as many eyeballs, and the right eyeballs, the eyeballs we want. It's by far the most successful tool for us.
Okay, thank you. And Collin, any particular, if you may not have a favorite, but is there any particular application that we should pay the most attention to in terms of how we post to make sure we are staying legal?
All of them. I mean, and not try to be a smart aleck, but you can get in just as much trouble on Twitter as you can on Facebook, as you can on Instagram, as you can on Tumblr. So and the good thing is, if you're with these cross-platform postings, if you've done it right once, you'll do it right across the other ones. So that that's if you keep an eye on what you're doing, and you're not just doing it on a whim, you kind of are a little bit more meditative about what you're posting, then you're good. But yeah, people like Facebook. You hear more people getting in trouble on Facebook just because there's more people on Facebook. But I mean, you can. There's problems everywhere.
Just one other thing. When you do use the one particular app that posts cross-platform, it tells the person where it posted from. So when I post from Instagram, but I want it to feed to my Twitter and feed to my Facebook, in Facebook it would say Instagram or, Twitter or whatever. So.
And that generates followers on your Instagram page, because if it posts from Instagram to Facebook, people say, oh, I didn't know she was on Instagram. Let me go follow her there. And so it just creates a ripple effect.
And so we just talked a lot about visuals and photos, posting client photos, posting closing table photos. Are you using photo and video releases? And if so, how do you do this, and what is the best method?
You should. And you should get it in writing, and you should keep it forever. I mean, that's and it's hard to be sitting there at the closing table and say, here you go, and now sign this. It may be something you get as part of your listing presentation or your buyer pack. That I use social media a lot in my marketing efforts. Do I have your permission to use your photo? It's, even with their homes. I don't know how all that works on your end, but it's good to get a release for all of those things, and you know, getting their permission. And you guys can speak more to this. When you guys tag someone, can you set it up where they have to approve it, or is that something you do on your side? So if you tag someone, they can say, well, I don't want to be tagged in this. And that's sort of kind of a digital okay. And I'm sure there's a way to trace that back to say, yes, they did approve this, or that no, they didn't.
Just something that has made me think of it, because I know it's, in my experience, something people do wrong all the time, and it can cost you a lot of money. And that is, you know, we're talking about pictures of your clients and pictures of their houses, but be careful with what you share that are pictures that you don't have the rights to. For example, I saw this, I Googled Atlanta in the fall, and this picture's really pretty, I'm going to post it on my Facebook page. If you don't have the exclusive rights to use a picture, a lot of Getty Images is the biggest player out there. I was at a company, actually Ticket Alternative, before I joined Mora, and our designer had used a picture from 5 years back that she thought she had the rights to, and they sent a cease and desist, and it was like $2,000 like per image. So they spend millions of dollars just trying to track down people who are illegally using their photos, and they will get you. So be sure that you know that you have the rights to use, even if it seems like a generic clip art picture. If you don't know exactly where it came from, I would be very, very wary.
Good advice. Oh, and also old posts. If you post, just listed, you posted it 3 weeks ago and now it's sold, whatever. Remove those things. You need to monitor those, because somebody can go back and create problems with it. Why is this still showing as listed when you sold my house already? The other posts, the personal posts, the informative posts, those are fine. But if you're going to post about new listings or things like that, you need to go back and remove those after they've sold and they're not listed anymore.
Or perhaps can we just add in the comments another one sold, and that kind of settles that.
Change those, yeah, another one sold. Yeah, just make sure it's not showing. That's where some of these the Trulias and the Zillows kind of get in trouble, because these things stay on, and people are still searching and seeing that these houses are still available, and they're really not.
I do not have a video or a photo form that I use. Most of the photos and images are me at my client's housewarming. I'm taking the pictures, or they've taken the pictures, or we're at the closing table. So I don't have a whole lot of need for any outside image, except listing photos, which, my photographer takes them. I own those. I paid.
Okay, I have to speak to that. Okay, so I was at a conference this past week, and the photographer took photos of the group of us and posted them all over his Facebook page and Instagram page, and they were the worst photos ever. And so I told the young lady who hosted the event, I want those pictures removed. And I asked her if she had gotten a photo release, and she said no. And I said, now this is a life lesson for you going forward, because not only is that a bad picture of all of us, okay, but that photo credit is horrible, okay? They're stamped with his company studio name and this and that, and I'm just looking like, why would you even want to brand an awful photo like that? Not to mention, you've got lovely me in it, and now you're making me look bad, so I want it removed, and I did. I had it removed. So I strongly suggest, when y'all are going to events or, things of the public, I understand people are like paparazzi, but again, that photo release and video release and permission, I want my stuff, I want it always permission, because photographers will tell you all the time, I own those pictures. No, it's the picture of me. I should give you permission to own that picture. You don't just have exclusive rights to my photo.
And I think as social media and the laws around social media continue to grow, we're going to see a lot more of that. And people may not want everybody to know they just bought that investment property down the street. So no, I didn't want my picture from the closing table. I let you take a picture of me, but I didn't know you were going to post it. So we may see a lot more of the photo releases coming down the line. So just be mindful of that. And if you know your clients. So
yeah, let's put it in our buyer brokerage agreement. So write it in the buyer brokerage agreement and listing agreement.
And here's the thing: you're not going to get in trouble for posting a picture of your friends in a personal way. Okay. You're advertising when you're posting for your company, and every person in the world has a right to their own image, and no one can use your image for advertising. And that's where the crux comes in. So don't confuse the two. That gosh, every time I post a picture of a friend, I've got to get their permission. No, when you're advertising your business in whatever form you're doing it, and you're using someone else's image in doing that, is where there creates a problem. Unless you're an NCAA athlete, then you can do it.
It's a really good point. Thank you. I want to touch a little bit on Facebook ads as we're starting to wind down. We have about 10 minutes left on the panel, so you can think really hard about any deep burning questions that you have not heard, that you did not receive answers for during the last hour and a half. So if there are any, and you know that it's something you really want to answer for in a group panel, if it's something that you can talk one-on-one with one of the panelists maybe afterwards, or shoot them a message on Facebook or Twitter, then you're happy to do that as well. But we do have about 10 minutes left. I want to touch a little bit on Facebook advertisements and how that generates leads. So I know Ben is expert on that. I've taken one of his classes before. So can you tell us a little bit about Facebook advertisements?
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about. And did my mic die? Okay, it's here. I will tell you and just come out and say it. I believe that if you're not willing to spend any money with Facebook, don't waste your time on Facebook. Things have changed drastically. If you already have a pretty strong presence because you've been on it since the beginning, great. You might stand a fighting chance, but they're changing things so drastically that if you're a business and you're not spending money, no one will see your content. So there are ways to spend money with them. You can, but with that, I say it goes back to your marketing budget. Have a plan. You can do an ad for a new listing. You can do an ad to boost some of your content. Make sure you have a plan in place. The one thing I will say is don't waste money on someone else's content. Don't pay to boost a post that the New York Times real estate page wrote. Why? What's the goal? But people, especially younger clients now, they view social media as something that's very important. We just got a listing recently because the differentiator was our social media presence versus all the other agents. The great thing is most people aren't doing a good job. 99% of real estate agents don't have a clue when it comes to social media. So if you do, it's that much easier for you to stand out. I would be more than happy to talk to anyone afterwards about what we do in more detail. I don't want to take up all the time, but again, if you're not spending money, if you're not willing to spend money, don't waste your time on Facebook. Go use something else.
Thank you.
I wanted to...
Not just that.
There are many ways that you can spend money with Facebook, and I just wanted to tag on the way that I use it. And again, when you come up with your plan, your budget, and keep in mind we're already using a free platform, so spending another $50 a month to boost some strategized ads is worth the investment for multiple reasons. And just look at just boosting a post, I think, to begin with, instead of committing into some kind of ongoing program at first. And what you will get as a result is you'll increase the number of your followers automatically, because your reach, you can spend $30 to send your post that you're posted on Facebook for free before, but now it's reaching 20,000 more people, and you can look at the demographics of your followers, as Ben mentioned earlier, and target that ad so you can see where it goes. And it's simply the same thing that you would have said, but you spent $30 so that more people in the world can see it, and it becomes exponential. Again, it's cheaper than a billboard. All right. It's cheaper than, sending 3x5 postcards out 8 times a year. It's just an investment. So come up with that plan. And beginners, just start with boosting one of your favorite posts. And as I talk about getting into the social media strategy and planning for your 2014 year, I encourage you guys to just jump in and do it. It's going to make a difference in your business. It really will.
Do it. There we go. Just do it.
This is my third year as a broker owner, and I have been boosting posts and paying Facebook ads since that time. When you're in front of your seller and you had zero activity at price A, and you show them how many hits and likes and comments you had at price A, and then you get that price reduction and boost the post, and you have those analytics to show how you've increased the views and this and that, those are the reasons why you're doing that advertising. It's to go back to that client and tell them the things that you're doing to sell their house. At the end of the day, we're all realtors. We're trying to sell their property, and they want to know how we're doing it. So when I have those reports from List Hub, and I have my Facebook ads analytics, and I have all of those reports to show them hard numbers, like Raenee said, one of my ads I boosted and 55,000 views that I didn't have for 3 whole months on the same listing to that seller, they were smiling again, like, okay, that's better kind of thing.
Thank you. And so we have about 2 minutes left. So we're going to take a minute, answer the last question, and then we're going to close.
I work for Harry Norman, and I tried to boost a Facebook post, and apparently that was the wrong thing to do. I had to find out the hard way. Do you know anything about that?
No.
Okay.
No,
We have
Facebook has-
Social Agent 360, and they want us to use that, so it became blocked, and it became a huge problem. Are you saying, though, that if I don't boost posts that Ben, I mean, is that basically a waste of time to...
So, in a nutshell, what Facebook has done is content that is shared, that is not paid to be disseminated to the audience, the percentage of people who are seeing that is declining drastically. If you have 1,000 or less Facebook fans on your business page, on average about 22% will see something that you share that you don't pay for. If you have 1,000 or more, about 12%. The average business page, people see about 9% of what you share when you don't pay for it. So that number is going to continue to go down to 0 because they want your money.
Become a voyeur, you guys. Go start following some people on Facebook or Twitter or any of the other platforms that you're interested in adding to your plan for 2015, and just watch how they work. Look at your favorite Beverly Hills agent. Follow them. What are they doing on Instagram? What are they posting? And you will learn what to do and what not to do as a result. And also in the process, you will kind of put together your very own personality.
And with that being, thank you. With that being the last question, that'll lead right into our last question. Who is your number one favorite person to follow, to follow on, real estate related on the web? Yep, real estate related.
I look at what Zillow and Truly are doing. Zillow spends a lot of money on marketing and social media. They know what they're doing. They post stuff that people like to see. So look at something they're posting. Find a way to tweak it, to make it your own. Do it. I mean, again, make sure you're not copying what they're doing, but take the idea that's not specific to an idea that they could have created, and make it your own, and see what it works. See what works.
I follow the people who follow me, and it's become a full-time job. So there aren't a whole lot of famous people, with the exception of, my clients who are athletes and things like that I follow. But I get my lead, and that's how I become engaged and interactive. So if you're having a housewarming, or if you were at the pool last week and you broke your toe, I'm going to be the one that goes, oh, you broke your toe. People want to know. So those are the people I follow. I follow my followers.
And for me, I have a person and then I have an entity. So the person is Michael J. Maher, the 7 levels of communication in his book and Jen. So I like what he posts and the content he posts and the pictures. And so that's my who. And the other one is Houzz, Houzz. Have you all heard of Houzz? Their content is phenomenal.
Thank you so much. Lots of great tools, takeaways today to get started. How many people can say they've got at least 3 things they're going to implement in their business from today's session? Awesome. Thank you so much, and we look forward to continuing this discussion in any of our professional development committees and meetings we have next year. Thanks again. And thank you to our panel.